The first time we went in there, it was we thought she was going to go into labor, and it was a false alarm. Went back home. The next day or the day after, she had intense pain on her side. So I ended up calling 911 for them to come and get her. So the ambulance came, transported her to the hospital. When she was there, she still complained of pain on the side. It was the assumption that the pain was attributed to due to her being in labor. And 20 minutes after being in the hospital, they had diagnosed her and said that she still wasn't delivering. At the time, they weren't sure what the pain was. So I do recall hearing a nurse stating that she wasn't dilated enough to, for her to really be in labor, and her water hadn't broken. My wife and I kept just looking at each other, knowing that something was wrong. And then shortly after that, her water broke, and we went from she's not going into labor to, she's now, her water broke, and they ended up calling a doctor. The doctor came out, and shortly after that, my daughter was born. From there, she was transported to a different room to recover. During that process there, my wife kept stating that she still had severe pain on her side abdomen, and they would come and they would check on her, and they just kept stating that it wasn't that it was just normal pain, and in some cases it was make sound as if she was just complaining, and it wasn't something serious. Later that day or the next day, the doctor came, checked her out. She explained the pain, and again, he didn't call out any concerns. We ended up being released. We went home. When we got home, my wife still wasn't feeling well. She started getting a fever, started throwing up, and she still had a hard time moving around. So we went back to the hospital and stated that she was really sick. We were in the emergency room. This must have been like at 12 a.m. And it wasn't until almost morning time when we were transported to an actual room from the emergency room. And we waited all this time, and the doctor never showed up. And still the pain kept getting worse and worse. At some point I went to the nurse and said, we need to get someone here. And by this time, I would say it must have been like 5 or 6 p.m. Finally, when the doctor came to see her, it must have been closer to 8, 9 o'clock that evening. He came in, and he just made some observations, and there was no concern on his point. And I don't know if, again, it's very clear that he just wasn't paying attention to a lot of the information that was given to him as far as what happened and what were some of the symptoms that she had experienced. The pain was so intense that even the subtle touch on the skin would also should have raised a red flag that this was going on. Problem with the appendix, and it's about to rupture, and ruptures that those are some signs that usually doctors look for, and even nurses that identify, and those were some of the first things that they look for. After my wife's passing, I wasn't clear as to what needed to happen then. I was just focused on everything going on at home and with my kids, and dealing with my newborn daughter. My wife's cousin had approached, and she had suggested that I need to seek legal guidance for this and support. And at the time, I wasn't sure what to do or who to call. So she referred me to you. I'm very happy and pleased over the fact that I had an opportunity to work with you and that you were able to represent me. I felt nothing but comfort and respect throughout the whole process, that you were not only out there looking for yourself, and this was just a job in another case, that you were truly very understanding as to what happened, what my needs were. You really cared about me and my family, ensuring that we saw this too, and that someone truly that you want to keep close by, and someone that I would recommend to others.